Welcome, members of the foreign press. First of all, I just want to say, I'm alive and you are all witnesses. Now that I've dismissed that fake news, I want to take this opportunity to update you on the important Operation Roaring Lion. Under the visionary leadership of President Trump, America and Israel are acting together in Iran with great determination and unprecedented force. Operation Rising Lion was designed to eliminate the significant existential threats posed by the Ayatollah regime, the regime that wages war against the United States, Israel, and the people of Iran. For 47 years, it has been chanting slogans like "Death to America," "Death to Israel," and bringing death to its own people. Our objectives are threefold. First, eliminate the nuclear threat. Second, eliminate the threat of ballistic missiles. And finally, eliminate both threats before they are buried deep underground and become. And third, this means creating the conditions for the Iranian people to achieve their freedom so that they can control their own destiny. Today, the regime of the Ayatollahs is not just attacking the United States, it's not just attacking Israel. It's not just attacking the Iranian people, it's attacking the entire Middle East and beyond. They have attacked civilians and American assets in Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, Oman, and they have even attacked, through their proxies, Cyprus and Europe. We have warned for decades that their ballistic missile program would be used to attack these targets in distant places. If they aren't stopped, this is only the start. The death cult in Iran is trying to blackmail the world by closing an important international maritime route, the Strait of Hormuz. That won't work. Israel is helping in its own way, and with intelligence by other means, the American effort to open the Strait of Tehran, or rather, of Hormuz. But I want to ask you to imagine how the Ayatollah's regime would be able to blackmail the entire world if they had ballistic missiles with nuclear warheads. Just imagine what they would do. Look at what they are doing now, and imagine what they would do if they had ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and nuclear warheads. Just imagine the magnitude of the threat that would represent. So today, Israel and the United States are protecting America, Israel, and the entire Middle East, but I dare say the whole world. Despite the fake news that unfortunately has been spread since the beginning of the war 20 days ago, we are winning and Iran is being decimated. Iran's arsenal of missiles and drones is being massively degraded and will be destroyed. Hundreds of their launchers have been destroyed. Their missile stockpiles are being severely hit, as are the industries that produce them. This is increasingly important. We destroyed missiles and destroyed much of the nuclear infrastructure. But what we're destroying now are the factories that produce the components to make those missiles and to make the nuclear weapons they're trying to produce. We're eliminating their industrial base in a way we haven't done before. Iran's air defenses have been rendered useless. Their navy is at the bottom of the sea. Today we hit the rest of their navy in the Caspian Sea. The air force is almost non-existent. Iran's command and control is in total chaos. I can say there's more to be done, and we will do it. And I want to end these opening remarks with one more piece of fake news, which is that Israel somehow dragged the United States into a conflict with Iran. Does anyone really think that anyone can tell President Trump what to do? Come on. President Trump always makes his decisions based on what he thinks is good for America. And I can also add on what is good for future generations. In this case, these interests are absolutely clear, just like the clarity of our achievements. Together, in close coordination with President Trump, in close coordination between the United States and Israel, our armies, our intelligence services, we are achieving objectives at lightning speed. But I want to say one more thing. They say that for 40 years they've been saying that Iran is a danger to Israel and a danger to the world, and that's true. Do you know who else said that? President Trump. 47 years ago, when the Iranian bandits took over the American embassy, he said how dangerous that regime is. In his first term, he didn't need any persuasion. He said the Iranian nuclear deal was the worst deal he had ever seen and pulled out of it right before his second term, before being re-elected. I went to see him at Mar-a-Lago. The first thing he said to me was, Bibi, we have to make sure Iran doesn't have nuclear weapons. He told me that. I didn't tell him. He didn't need to be convinced of that either, so why did he say it? Because for more than 4 decades, this regime, as I said, has been shouting death to Israel, death to America. But they say that Israel is just the little Satan that's in their way. The great Satan is the United States of America. And these ideological fanatics, these lunatics, define their reason for existing as eliminating Western civilization and the America that leads it. They take lives. They have wounded thousands of Americans in Iraq and Afghanistan, killed U.S. Marines in Beirut, bombed embassies, and tried to assassinate President Donald Trump twice. Now they blackmail for oil. Just imagine what they would do, what they're capable of, if these lunatics had nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them to every American city, every European city, and all over the world. That would be a danger to the entire world. It's certainly a danger to Israel, and it's certainly a danger to America. At this point, President Trump and I, Israel and America, are in complete agreement. But I think that if people are honest, if leaders are honest, they would understand that we're not just fighting our fight, we're fighting their fight too. I talked to dozens of world leaders, dozens. They all know that. And in private, they all say that. They say that in private. But I say it publicly. The whole world owes a deep debt, a debt of gratitude to President Trump for leading this effort to protect our common future.
Thank you. Questions. Now let's answer some questions. The first question is from Zach Anders from Newsmax. Mr. Prime Minister, Zach Anders, Newsmax.
They don't want a leader to lead a transition. They don't want to swap one Ayatollah for another. They don't want to swap Hitler for Himmler. So the question is whether the conditions will arise for a change of this kind. I think it's too soon to say. And in the end, it's up to the Iranian people to show that, to choose the right moment, and to rise to the occasion. Nós podemos criar as condições, but they have to take advantage of these conditions at a certain point. It's often said that you can't make revolutions from the air, and that's absolutely true. You can't do that just from the air. You can do many things from the air, and we are doing them. But there has to be a ground component. There are also many possibilities for this ground component, and I allow myself the luxury of not sharing all these possibilities with you.
And what about Pahlavi, if the people keep shouting for him in the streets?
Well, I'm not going to say who specifically will be there, but I think he has been a force for good. He has been trying to get the people to unite for a transitional government, a democratic transitional government, or a moderate transitional government. I hope that happens, that it comes to fruition. I think it's too soon to say.
Next question from Richard Engel from NBC News.
Good to see you again.
Well, I think we have concrete goals like how to do this, how to end this. We want, as I said, to decimate the ballistic missile program, which we are doing, to decimate the nuclear program, which we are also doing. I think those are achievable goals, but I'm not going to set a timeline or a timer for that. I think we have goals that need to be achieved, and we're not counting the days. But I'll say this. That fallacy that we drag the United States into this is not just a fallacy, it's ridiculous. It's simply ridiculous. I mean, I think President Trump put it best, and I've said it too, many times. There's always a risk when you take action. But in situations of existential threats, there's a much greater risk in not acting. What do you think would have happened if America hadn't acted now? Just imagine what would have happened in a few months, at most, a year. Khomeini, still alive, would have ordered the start of the new nuclear program and the ballistic missile program, rebuilt to be transferred to underground facilities. Now that would take a little time, maybe a few years, but you wouldn't be able to reach those programs, and they would develop intercontinental ballistic missiles. That means missiles capable of reaching Chicago, New York, Florida, Texas, and California. Ah, but they don't have them yet. That's what people said, right? Let's wait. Let them do it, just wait and let them do it. You won't be able to. It's the last moment. No, it takes a little time. I mean, you had a few months to act, to prevent them from doing this and simply wiping out these industries and maybe achieving this transition, the government in Iran. So, you sit down and say, well, this isn't going to happen next Thursday, so it's better not to act. I'm telling you, there's a huge risk in not acting, a much bigger risk than acting. And if you think the oil markets are in trouble today, imagine Iran with nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them. Then think about the blackmail you would have to endure. All right, let's go to the next question. I think I just heard that this is a serious matter. What's the question? You can go ahead. Now? Of course you won't have any. You can ask whatever you want, of course, but you have oil fields that are currently in flames. Gasoline prices are going up. The war is popular in Israel, but not with Americans. How do you imagine the day after? Well, we have achievable objectives, and I'm not going to talk about all the battle plans we have with the United States. We are well coordinated with them. I'll say the following then. Once we achieve our objectives, I have advocated, I believe, and the Americans understand this very well because we are true partners, that what really needs to be accomplished is the development of alternative routes instead of going through the choke points. Through the Straits of Hormuz and Bab el-Mandeb. To ensure the flow of oil, it's enough to have oil and gas pipelines going west, crossing the Arabian Peninsula, reaching Israel, all the way to our ports on the Mediterranean. And that way you completely eliminate the choke points. This is definitely possible. I see this as a real change that will come after this war, but I also see this war ending much faster than people think. I think that in a war you have to resist with determination. Churchill said that democracies suffer from the sleep of democracies, as he called it, and that they only wake up. According to him, maybe only when they hear the gong, the shrill gong of danger. That's how he put it. Are you hearing the gong, the shrill gong of danger? The shrill gong of danger is Iran getting nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. That's not just a shrill gong, that's an apocalypse. Don't let that happen. And the role of leaders is to take a stand and tell people the truth. Even when things are uncomfortable, that's what you have to do. And you don't always see the danger in time, but leaders have the task of seeing the danger in time and acting on it. And I hope that over time, people will recognize the wisdom and courage of President Trump's decision and leadership. Working together shows that the United States does not fight for Israel, but with Israel, for the common goal of protecting our future and civilization against these barbarians. Next question, one question.
Guy Azriel from I-24 News, thank you.
Prime Minister Guy Azriel, I-24 News. President Trump said today that he did not like the Israeli attack on the Iranian gas fields. My question for you is, was the president aware of Israel's attack on that gas field? Did you approve it, and if I may, do you see any sign that the Iranian regime is collapsing? And what assurances do you give to the Israeli public? If the country recovers, we won't see another wave of war with Iran, maybe in 5 or 10 years.
Mr. President. Well, I'll say two things. First, fact, Israel acted alone against the Asaluya gas complex. Second fact, President Trump asked us to suspend future attacks, and we are suspending them. What we see. What happens if there is any sign that the Iranian regime is collapsing? Many signs, many signs. I wish I could reveal all of them, but I realize that. But I'll tell you, I'll commit right now, saying that there will be many signs they will collapse. I can tell you that we are working to create the conditions for that to happen. But it might survive, it might not even survive. If it does survive, it will be much weaker. It will be at its worst moment. Without the decades-old industries of death, and without several other capabilities that they have, and equipped with the experience, with the knowledge that if they try again, they will be hit again even harder. I can't tell you about the technological advances we're involved in to anticipate this and other possibilities. But Israel has already shown that it can do wonderful things, and in partnership with our American allies, we can do incredible things, incredible things. As Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, said, these are the two most impressive air forces in the world. They're the two most incredible intelligence services in the world. They have the capabilities to confront these barbarians and surpass them, both in innovation and, when necessary, in lethality. It's targeted lethality. Lethality with a defined target means going after the killers and, as much as possible, avoiding civilian casualties. We have these capabilities. We're building them for the future. That's what protects the future. You know, if people want to be naive, it's because they don't see the kind of world we live in. In this world. It's not enough to be moral. It's not enough to be just. It's not enough to be right. Did you know that? One of the greatest writers of the 20th century, a figure I deeply admire, was the renowned historian Will Durant. He wrote many volumes, and I have read most of them. He also wrote The Lessons of History, a very brief book about 100 pages in which he said, well, history proves that, unfortunately and sadly, Jesus Christ has no advantages over Genghis Khan. Because if you are strong enough, ruthless enough, powerful enough, evil will overcome good, aggression will overcome moderation. So you have no choice. If you look at the world as it is today, you have to be blind not to see that. The democracies led by the United States need to reaffirm their willingness to defend themselves and to stand up to their enemies. There is still time, while there is still time, before the resounding gong of danger wakes them up, and wakes them up too late. This is where we are now. The fact that people don't see this, the fact that much of the media pushes a lot of fake news, but also a lot short-sightedness, and the fact that they don't see the historical period and the historical struggle we're engaged in doesn't eliminate these truths. We need to be strong, we need to be armed, we need to be more powerful than the barbarians, or they won't just be at our gates, they'll break down our gates and destroy our societies. That's what Israel is doing now with the United States. And I'm very proud of the fact that the Israeli people are standing firm, that the Israeli army is standing firm. We have risen up since October 7th. Our people, our soldiers have risen like lions. By protecting ourselves and joining with our American friends, we are also protecting the entire world.
Thank you. Next question, Tom Burridge from ABC News.
Tom Burridge, ABC News.
Escalation of attacks against the US and their allies in the Gulf, and the surge in energy costs and overall prices that the country is facing. Military personnel killed in this war raise the question, did you lead the government into making a mistake by starting this conflict? And for how long will Americans have to keep paying this price?
Well, I didn't deceive anyone, and I didn't need to convince President Trump about the need to stop Iran from developing its nuclear program, putting it in underground facilities, and being able to launch missiles with nuclear warheads against the United States. He understood that. He explained that to me. I didn't explain that to him. And I believe that our partnership is the only way to prevent this catastrophic outcome. The loss of soldiers is painful. At the very beginning of my military service, a fellow soldier died in my arms. I lost a brother who fought terrorists and led the historic Entebbe rescue. The cost for the bereaved families is enormous, and I sympathize and send the condolences of the people of Israel to these families and to the American people. Freedom is precious, it has its price, but if you are not willing to defend it, if you are not prepared to resist the tyrannies that try to arm themselves with weapons of mass destruction, you will have no future. And therefore, we are doing what we can. As for the rise in oil prices spikes, you know what a spike is, you know what a spike is, it goes up and down. The Americans are working hard, and we are trying to help them in every possible way to open the Strait of Hormuz. And if they succeed, which I believe they will, then oil prices will go down. But if you say, all right, I'm suffering now and people are, so I shouldn't do anything. I should just give in to blackmail, let Iran go ahead, let them develop nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles to deliver them. In New York and Los Angeles, you're going to be blackmailed in ways you can't even imagine. I think what this war has done is expose what Iran really is. You know, we've said for years, look at these people, they're doing things that normal regimes don't do. I don't even hear adversaries of the United States shouting death to America, death to the great Satan, massacring tens of thousands of their own people at will like that in just 2 days. Sometimes you see that, but the combination of fanaticism, deep ideological madness, there's no other way to call it. The total and absolute lack of scruples of this regime makes it uniquely dangerous, not only for Israel and the United States, but for everything between them and far beyond. And the fact that this isn't recognized, you ask me, okay, what did people think? What did they think in the 1930s? What did they think in the 1930s? When there was a terrible, ruthless, and murderous regime led by a lunatic that took over one country after another. It did this in a very sequential way. What they said was, let's stay out of this. This is not our war. This is not our problem. Maybe it's just the Jews. We haven't learned anything, absolutely nothing in these 80 years. We can't see the danger that's lurking. It's not lurking anymore. It has emerged from the mud. It's right in our faces. It's splattering blood right on us. I can't believe we're clueless. We're not clueless. I've talked to many American friends. They're not clueless. They understand this. Some don't understand. Some are strongly against it. But many are taking a wait-and-see approach. But I can say that I spoke, as I said a moment ago, I spoke with many, many leaders. We're talking about dozens and dozens of leaders, and they all say the same thing. I understand that. Some of them come out publicly and say it, they're bold. And some of them say, I don't know, I would like to understand, but some people in my country don't understand, or my media is against me, and so on. I was glad to see in the United States that a huge percentage of President Trump's supporters, traditional supporters, understand this. And I hope that my dear friends and colleagues of many years on the other side of the aisle, those who understand and agree with what I just said, and I know there are several of them, I ask that they have the courage to speak out publicly and say this. Because in the end, what is the true task of leaders if you are a leader? The most important thing of all is to ensure the protection and safety of your people. And that means identifying danger in time and acting against it. That is a prerequisite for the survival of any biological organism. You need to identify danger in time and act against it in time. You either fight or flee. Those are your two options. Where to run? Nowhere. Iran can reach any part of the world at a certain point. You need to fight. We've reached exactly that point. It's not too late. There's still time. I just want to encourage everyone who agrees with what President Trump is saying and also with what I'm saying to take action. I didn't need to convince President Trump of anything. He didn't need to be convinced. He acted like a great leader. He acts to protect his country and protect the future.
Thank you so much for everything, okay?
Next question is from Alex Tryman from JNS, right?
Behind you, yes, Mr. Prime Minister. Hezbollah has opened another front against Israel, launching rockets at civilians. Now, ground troops are in Lebanon. Is there any hesitation in launching a full-scale ground operation to eradicate Hezbollah? How would eradicating Hezbollah change the relations between Israel and Lebanon in the region?
Look, Alex, I can't disclose our battle plans. Obviously, Hezbollah is not what Hezbollah used to be. I said in my initial remarks in Hebrew that they, were talking about 150,000 rockets and missiles. They had ballistic missiles. They had thousands of terrorists. Ridwan right next to us, underground by our fence, ready to invade. We pushed them back, destroyed most of their missile capability in 6 hours. We defeated Nasrallah. We destroyed all the members of Hamas, or rather, all the members of Ridwan. Infrastructure right next to our border. Now we have a security corridor, a security zone that exists to prevent this kind of invasion, and we have plans for the future. Obviously, our main effort is directed at Iran. If the regime falls, you know that Hezbollah falls along with it, but anyway, we are making our plans so that we can eliminate this threat as well.
Final question from Jeremy Godwin from CNN.
Mr. Prime Minister, Jeremy Diamond, CNN, pleasure to see you. You assassinated the supreme leader of Iran and dozens of other top Iranian officials. The result of this, so far, has been the appointment of a new supreme leader, considered even more hardline than his father. The Iranian regime is not showing any signs of collapse at this time. So I ask, what do you say to those who claim that killing these individuals is actually strengthening the hardliners in Iran? And are you still confident that your strategy will lead to regime change? And you also indicated today that you promised President Trump not to attack those oil and gas facilities in the future. If one day President Trump says that oil prices are too high and it's time to end this war, you will listen to him. And do you need the support of the United States to continue this campaign on your own?
That was a single question. Jeremy really monopolized the conversation, but I'll answer your questions. I'm not exactly sure who's in charge of Iran now, Mojtaba. Their substitute Grand Ayatollah. He hasn't appeared in public. Did you hear? We don't know and can't guarantee exactly what's happening there. There is a dense cloud of uncertainty, which is not clear at all right now. What we see is that there is a huge amount of tension inside. The people who are competing for leadership do not hold a unified position. You see this sometimes with the contradictory orders that are given, right? They do one thing and then go back on it and so on. I think it's important for them to know that if they think about attacking the world, attacking the President of the United States and so on, they themselves are being targeted. This creates a lot of uncertainty. We found that this removal can have an effect. The position held by Nasrallah was never truly filled for the simple fact that certain people are simply irreplaceable. I think the authority and control that Khamenei exercised will not be transferred to anyone, not to Mustafa if he's there, nor to anyone else. But I think this is part of the effort to split the regime. This won't happen in a day. It's already been 20 days since the start of this war. Yes, we're seeing cracks, and we're trying to spread them as quickly as possible, not only in the high command, we're seeing cracks in the field. It's like a piece of rotten hollow wood that holds up on the outside, but is full of rot on the inside. We're seeing some defections. We're seeing fear and apprehension in the Revolutionary Guard units that operate the ballistic missiles. Do you know why? Because they're afraid of dying. Not all of them are suicidal. In fact, most of them aren't. So we're seeing cracks, but we're going to hit them again and again. At the very least, we want to, again, eliminate their ability to produce these weapons. They'll have to rebuild everything, which is difficult. It's hard to do that underground, so they can't just take the parts and move them underground. It's going to be much harder for them. Ideally, if there are enough cracks and with other details, yes, the regime can change. Is that guaranteed? No. And it's up to the Iranian people in the end to take advantage of the conditions we're creating by weakening this regime. We'll see. I can't tell you they're brave. I'm not here to criticize them in any way. I think they're very brave. I think they've suffered enormously. And the question is, will we have a meeting point between the weakening of the regime and the uprising of the people? In various ways that may develop, we'll see. Regarding the issues of oil and gas, I can only say the following. Look, to be honest, I don't think those two leaders were as coordinated as President Trump and I have been. He is the leader. I am, his ally. America is the leader. Israel, it's like the National Security Memorandum described us. I think about a month, 6 weeks ago, something like that, they called Israel the model ally. That's what they call the model ally. It's not a superpower, but it's what America is looking for around the world. And you hear that in President Trump's and other administration members' speeches. They say, where are you? We've helped you all these years. Where are you when we do something that's as important to you as it is to us? Even so, the country stands against all the slander thrown at Israel, that Israel leeches off the United States and so on. No, it's not. It's not. Israel is a brave country, a resolute country with incredible soldiers, incredible courage. And we are fighting alongside the United States. When things get tough, we are fighting with the United States. We are fighting for a common goal. So I can say this is the most important coordination. But in practice, President Trump and I talk regularly. Our teams discuss matters. Our military forces are in close coordination like never before. At the end of the day, President Trump makes his own decisions, and I fully respect them.
Just one question, Jeremy. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you all for your questions today. People up north are suffering.
Israel is going through difficult times, especially those in the north. Currently, residents of the north are facing a very difficult situation. The north is suffering. Residents of the northern region are going through an extremely difficult time right now. The north is suffering. Let's wrap up now.